Hi, everybody. Let's talk about the different tasks and activities that happen within a kitchen and how we can best provide lighting for them. So, your overall lighting concept for the kitchen needs to consider the visual tasks that are going to be performed, where they are located within the room, and how they should be best illuminated. So, the general activities that take place in the kitchen can be categorized as food prep, conversation socializing, and dining. So, we'll take a look at all three of these. So, what are the different visual tasks that happen in the kitchen? We're going to categorize them like this. The first one is counter tasks, things that happen on a countertop. A common issue or problem with counter tasks is that you can have a shadow created by the user. So if the light is behind the user, which is really common, um, that user's shadow will fall on their task. Veiling reflections can also be a problem if you have a shiny countertop. It's recommended to provide high or very bright light for counter tasks, but diffuse to avoid those shadows. And the best location for that lighting is under the cabinets, at the front edge of that cabinet. Right. Our next visual task happens on the cooktop. And a common problem here is that you could have some shadows created by the hood. It's recommended that we have very concentrated light in this area and that the light be located integrated into the hood. The next task is our cabinet tasks. So for everything that is stored in a cabinet, your task is to look and find the objects there. Right. Some issues with lighting these cabinet tasks is that the light might not reach the top shelves. Also, it's important to pull the light fixture, a ceiling light fixture, away from the edge of the cabinet to avoid a sharp scalloped light pattern on the cabinet doors. Right. This task does not need as much brightness as the others, and it can be diffused over the cabinet fronts. The recommended location is ceiling moderately close, but not too close. The next visual task is simply the overall space. We're going to be walking around and using the space of the room. And for that, we want something that's not distracting, generally diffuse, and medium to even low brightness level. And it's recommended that this be ceiling lighting. We can have some specialty visual tasks in a kitchen, and one of them might be collectibles or paintings on a wall, and they have some different qualities. For collectibles, we really want to light that display so that it creates a clear rendition of the form. This can be a problem. All right. And we want to focus that light right on the objects. And the best location for that light is inside the break front, which is the name for a display cabinet, okay? Inside of the display cabinet at the front edge of it. For the paintings on a wall, one of the problems is if you have a single big beautiful painting, okay, you can provide specialty lighting for that one item. But what if you've got several small ones? And the recommendation for that is to provide more diffuse light to cover all of the individual paintings. This should be located in the ceiling parallel to the wall. All right, so we just covered some of the specific visual tasks that happen in a kitchen. And now let's take a look at some of the activities and how we can best light them. Remember that those activities were food prep, socialization and conversation, and also dining. So food prep, um, the key food prep activities happen on horizontal surfaces, countertops, sinks, at the cooktop, at the island, even at the table. All right. So these spaces are usually located directly under a cabinet, in which case under cabinet lighting would be key. All right. They could be covered by a range hood, in which case lighting integrated into that range hood is appropriate. Or they could be, like in the case of an island or a table, simply open to the ceiling above. Let's talk about socialization and how we can effectively light social activities, such as sitting around a table and talking to each other, which happens in a kitchen. All right. So effective lighting for social activities favors people's faces. All right. What we're trying to do is connect all of the participants who are having a conversation. It's important to provide quality of lighting rather than quantity. Right? It doesn't really matter that you have super bright light on someone's faces. It's more important to have soft, diffuse light, which flatters the people's faces and helps others read their expressions. In fact, if you have concentrated light, especially bright, direct light from overhead, it can cast some unpleasant, maybe even disturbing shadows on faces. Have you ever seen a shadow directly under somebody's nose and their chin? That actually doesn't help social activities. Finally, let's talk about lighting for dining. And the first thing I want to say is that a dining area should have multiple layers of light. So look over here on the left-hand side. This dining room has ambient lighting. It has task lighting for the table area, and it has some decorative lighting also. In general, the light sources should be positioned carefully to eliminate glare, avoid shadows. All right, this is actually one of the social and conversational tasks that we were just talking about. And the size and locations of these luminaires should be carefully planned in a dining room. So I've got a couple more slides to show you exactly how we should carefully locate these dining luminaires. It's very common and it actually works well to light a dining room table with a central pendant fixture. But how should we size and locate that fixture? Well, the rule of thumb is that your pendant fixture or your chandelier should be at least 6 inches narrower than your table on each side. And this is because as people get up from their table, they actually lean forward, and you certainly don't want any kind of safety issue for people to run into that chandelier. All right. Also, you need to place the chandelier roughly 30 to 36 inches above the table, and that's for good communication between the seated participants at the table. Interestingly, the height that feels correct for a dining room chandelier is different depending on the different ceiling heights, the size of your room, and the size of the table. So there's a complicated what is this infographic here about how to find the right height for your dining room chandelier, and I'm placing that in your module so you will have a chance to carefully look at it on your own. All right, everyone. So we talked about all the different visual tasks that happen within a kitchen, and then kind of categorize those tasks into some different activities happen in a kitchen and best practices for lighting for each of those activities. Thanks.